look at we're reversed. I'm usually on the left side of the screen, and you're on. Oh, there it.
Hello.
I started out. I fell out of place.
Well, I'm trying to get my lighting a little better in here.
There you are.
There I am.
Yeah, you're blending into the wall.
Yes.
How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
Good. You were on a road trip this
still
week.
am.
You still are. Okay. You mentioned you went down to did you go down to Houston?
I went to Houston. I still am in Houston visiting my parents.
Yeah, but what was interesting was you sent me a text, and what kind of transportation were you on going down there?
Vaughn Lane.
What is Vaughn Lane?
VONLANE, Vaughn Lane. It's a luxury bus liner that travels between Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, Austin, maybe Oklahoma, and maybe Florida, a couple places in Florida. But it's been around for years now. My parents started taking it years ago, and it's just like about a 25-seat passenger bus, big reclining, comfortable chairs, an attendant who provides snacks throughout your trip. And depending on the time of day you're traveling, you'll be served either lunch or dinner. And it's so comfortable and so nice, and you don't have to worry about driving and navigating the road yourself, or you don't have to worry about going to the airport and parking and getting in and out of the airport and on and off your plane and delays. And so it's a wonderful way to travel if you're just doing those short little jaunts here in Texas.
I mean, I was amazed because you commented about I'm just sitting here and I'm getting so much work done because you were catching up on all your texting and emails and everything in the comfort of this luxury bus. I'll have to look into that. I think that's a really great idea.
And I know you're not a big fan of flying, Stuart.
Right.
And so they only go those short little routes. But a lot of business people use Vaughn Lane. They've got a workstation in the back of the bus where you can plug in your laptops and set up shop and get some work done while you're on the highway. And really, it's just so kind of relaxing and nice in that you're not having to navigate the airport, get in and out, and wait for your plane and all that. So yeah, you can get a lot of work done. I was getting a lot of work done. You know that usually when you and I text, you'll text me. It might be later in the evening when I get to it, but I was booking our next few shows. I was, emailing and corresponding. And so, yeah, you can get a lot done.
And you said there's an attendant, so it's like an airplane on wheels.
Exactly. Exactly. In fact, the man in front of me, I was texting my sister while I was on the bus because I was laughing. He had 2 Bloody Marys by 11:15 in the morning.
He's following that adage: don't drink and drive.
I guess so. He took full advantage of that. I don't know where he was headed and what circumstance was ahead of him on the highway, but he was having a couple drinks before he got there.
But you kind of had the idea of what condition he was going to be like when he got there.
Yeah, I was a little bit worried at first, but he actually stopped then and had some lunch and some water, took a nap. He was actually fine. But when he got started, I was a little bit worried. But anyway, so I'm here now, heading back today, though. Had a nice visit. And yes, I recommend Vaughn Lane to anybody who's traveling those routes here in Texas. It's a comfortable, clean, safe, very nice way to, get yourself from, Austin, Dallas, San Antonio, all those major cities down here. I have to say, we do have a guest who just is texting me that he is backstage. Just want you to know he did make it to the show.
Oh, he's backstage. Oh yeah. Yeah. He just went up on the private chat. It says, hello.
Yes. I'm going to let you take it from here then.
So, and Mark, so if you see that our guest is sitting back there backstage and all, as soon as he's finished with makeup, and all, you can let him into the show. We'll go ahead and tell everybody who's joining us today.
I think we should go ahead.
We have John Keating who is joining us. He is no stranger to this show. he is certainly no stranger to Vaughn's neighborhood because they're neighbors. He is also a councilman on the city council here in Frisco, Texas. He is a veteran. He wears lots of hats. He's an all around great guy, and I'll say all the really nice things about him so that when he joins the show, I won't have to say any more about him at all.
Yes, he is. He's a very involved. Of course, being on the city council, that goes without saying how involved he is in our community. But he cares a lot about our community. He wants what's best for our community. He's somebody you want on your team for sure. And
I don't know where he is, but he's texting in. He just put "aw."
Well, I'm not sure why he's not been in. I guess we're just going to talk about John the whole show, and he's not going to be.
Yeah, well, listen, if he's not here to defend himself, we can say whatever we want about him.
We actually can. But no, I've known John pretty much the whole time I've lived in Frisco because there he is. Hey, John.
Oh, okay. Right. No more niceties. Let's call it as we really see it.
Yeah. I'm gonna go backstage here. You guys keep going.
we really don't need you, John. Well, we were just singing your praises before we get to the nitty gritty of city talk. We were just singing your praises in that I happen to know you both personally, not really professionally, but I do because you know where my vote goes every time there's a city council election. But personally, I can speak to your attributes and that you are very dedicated, you're committed, you work tirelessly to do what you think is best, believe is best for the city and the community members, and you're extremely involved. You attend everything that you need to attend, and I always get to see your face. I just saw you last week at the ribbon cutting or the groundbreaking for the new magnificent Frisco Public Library. Yep. I'm sure John has many little trinkets from.
I do. Yeah, I'll open it up there. That's
some events and opening ground. Yeah.
Now, speaking of that groundbreaking on the new library, John, that's been something that's been on the city agenda for several years now that you've been working on to get passed and to get it. So it must really feel good to finally get that shovel and put it in the ground.
Yes. Yeah. Do we want to start with that? Start with the library?
We might as well.
Let's go back to how awesome I am.
We might as well start there. We're all over the place, but that is one of the biggest projects the city council has ever embraced. So why don't we start there?
Yeah, library, blah, blah, blah. More about John Keating.
So bad.
That was really sweet. That was really nice of you guys. The library project is fantastic. That's about a $62 million voter-approved bond initiative. And Stuart, to your point, yes, we just voted to approve those bonds a few weeks ago. Again, we want to be good stewards of your tax dollars, and we have a lot of voter-approved bonds on the books. We sell them as we need to sell them to enter the bond market. So this is actually one of our biggest projects since building City Hall. A lot of what we've done has been infrastructure, public safety, building fire stations. We've opened 3 new fire stations while I've been on council, plus the training center. So we'll have, Fire Station 10 coming up here pretty soon. Wow. We'll have to talk about that. Yeah, it's, response times are critical. When seconds count, we're minutes away. So obviously we try to compress that time. But, the library has been something that citizens have wanted for a long time. It's like, public art and an art center. That's something we have voter-approved bonds for. Tammy Miner-Shagan's been a huge champion of that. Vaughn, of course, huge champion of the library, one of our volunteers. And so, we applaud everyone who's helped, pitch in. Our library staff is fantastic. We went from the concept of doing 4 smaller library branches around the city, sort of, northeast, southeast, southwest, northwest, in 4 corners. And we decided not to do that. We started with a central library, and it's been so successful and so popular with kids and homeschoolers and the different school districts that Frisco serves. Obviously, we're not just the Frisco ISD. We get a little bit of, Little Elm and the Colony and Plano spill over in. And so everyone takes advantage. Obviously, we have a large senior citizen population, or as I like to say, the seasoned citizen population, Frisco Lakes. They love their traditional library. We have that for them. We also do, they do everything there from tax preparation to English as a second language, computer learning and skills, help you with the passport, all that stuff. So, look for all that and more times 10 in an old rocket factory.
Yeah.
That in itself is kind of an interesting story, because that old factory,
The Beale, I think Beale.
which is in a magnificent building that already houses a lot of the Discovery Center for the kids, the Black Box Theater for theater productions. You've got the gaming hall of fame, or something. I forgot the correct name for it.
We'll go with that.
Yeah, there's so much right there, and that building has been sitting there as kind of a dinosaur. And then, correct me if I'm wrong, but you mentioned $62 million for this project. But originally, the concept was to spend almost twice as much to expand the current city hall, to expand the library at one end, to expand the city administrative arm at the other end. That would have cost everybody a lot more money. This building became available, and now all of a sudden the city hall can take over the old library space, and the library will have a custom-made state-of-the-art library for actually less money than what it originally was on the table.
Yeah, are you running for office, Stuart?
No, but I know somebody on this.
John.
I know somebody on this show is.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, and thank you for
By the way, you're running for re-election. Is this your last term?
Oh, never say never again.
No, but I'm saying you can only run 3 consecutive terms.
That's what they say.
That's what they say, but what do they know?
Right.
Well, there's no place to go after that except to the mayor's office.
Right. Well, yeah. So let me clean some of that up. So yes, we do. You do by charter run 3-year terms. So what happened? I'm a bit of an anomaly, if I may. I ran in 2010 for place 4, was reelected in 2013, but came off in 2016 to run for Scott Turner's state rep seat in HD 33. So Scott had decided he wasn't going to run again, and ran for that seat. Came out of the primary 1,000 votes ahead, and then went to a runoff with Justin Holland from Rockwall, and lost by 99 votes. So every vote does count, and big advocate, obviously, for getting folks out to vote and make their voice heard. Very proud of the campaign that we ran. Learned a lot about Texas politics and what goes on down in Austin, and remained engaged as a good conservative voice for Frisco, and came back in 2017 to run for a 1-year unexpired term in place 1. Won that seat. That didn't count towards my term, and then had to run for a full 3-year term in 2018. So I ran 3 campaigns back to back: state rep in 2016, city council in 2017, and city council again in 2018. And now I'm up really for my second term for place 1. I could run one more time by charter. So it's all got to stay in shape. You got to keep working. You got to stay, in touch with the voters and the community. Fastest growing city in America. Got to keep your education up. Got to keep the saw sharpened, as the saying goes. Paid my own way to Harvard. Went to the John F. Kennedy School for governance, and attended their school for state and local elected officials, and was the only city councilman in my class, filled with police chiefs, fire chiefs, city managers, state reps, state senators, men and women like that from around the country, indeed around the world. We had folks from Australia, Ireland, Iceland. It's an incredible program. So all those things help, deliver I hope a quality, well-rounded candidate to Frisco. That's what I run on. They're nonpartisan elections, so you do hear folks banging the drum about their conservative values, which is fine. I do that as well sometimes, but really I try to bring the focus back to, good old-fashioned civic leadership and quality governance for the city, and try to create a bit of a degree of separation from the politics.
Well, and John, that's been something that I have admired about you ever since we moved here. It's been almost 8 years. In fact, I think 8 years ago we only had 5 fire stations, you said, and now we got 10.
Well, we need to plan for number 10. We have 9.
Wow.
I helped open 3. So.
I mean, that just shows you the growth spurt that this city had. It was 75,000 people when we moved here, and now we're over 200,000. It's incredible. But I'll just go back to a little bit of admiration. I don't want to swell your head, but
please don't.
The one thing that I have admired about you is that you and other members of our city council, you don't pick a side and say, okay, no matter what happens, I'm entrenched on this viewpoint or that viewpoint. You are a champion of saying, let's put all the options on the table. Let's discuss all the options, and then let's move forward with the option that makes the most sense for the most people.
Thank you. Yes. Well, it's, and that is the art of that is the true blend of politics and governance. It's getting results, having to build a team, knowing when to lead, follow, and get out of the way, and get all those ideas out. There's some people who vote differently from me who are very smart and have a lot of good things to offer. I met with one of the representatives of the Democrat Party in Denton County, and she was almost sort of trembling a little bit. I was like, "It's okay. I'm not the big bad wolf that you may have heard about."
Yeah. The door is open.
We ended up having a great conversation for about 2 hours. There's a whole lot of things we don't agree on. Our priorities are different. How we look at things is different. But it was a great dialogue, and it cleared up, for her, it cleared up a lot of misconceptions about me. I now live in Denton County. I am not planning on running for state rep. For Jared Patterson's seat, everyone talks about when is Senator Jane Nelson might retire, when my Congressman Burgess might retire, and then what happens when those dominoes fall and the politics happen and different people run for different offices. And Jared Patterson's been a great representative for the city of Frisco, and I don't know what his future plans are, but I know what mine are. And they do not include running for his seat or Burgess or Nelson or anybody else's. I'm very happy with the role I play here on council. That became crystal clear to Leslie and I, to my family, after the 2016 race. We do, have the opportunity to represent 200,000 citizens, whereas a state rep, you're representing about 150 to 170,000, and you're one of a large state house and a large state senate and a different model of governance, a different style of politics, and we thought we're going to stay right here in Frisco and serve our friends and neighbors and do our best right here.
Well, and what I have always seen of you, John, over the years, and like I was saying early on in the show, is that I've literally known you and your family since the day we moved in.
You bought our house.
We bought your house.
I was going to say, John, you know every inch of her house, don't you?
Yes.
I do. There's some funny stories about.
There's some funny stories, but I knew right.
Make sure we have time for a couple of those stories.
Well, I knew right away that they were a family with good morals and values, and certainly just great personalities and just very energetic. I mean, Leslie Keating is an amazing woman in her own, just with her success at Frito-Lay and whatnot. And that's she could be another guest on our show another time. But
Yeah.
But what I have always observed is just your genuine passion to always make yourself available and make yourself approachable. And I think that is important, because, you know, in order for you to do your job, you do need to know what's going on around you, and you need to know what the people are thinking and feeling. And you do seem to go after that. And, you know, I think also with your continued education, and you're always doing this class or that class, and it's, you know, as our town of Frisco has grown at such a fast pace, you have kept yourself as a politician very up to speed on just how we're going to play the game, the rule book. And I think that helps you be successful, has helped you be so successful in your role as city councilman and just a community member. So I think it just goes without saying that certainly, you know, and, you know, anyway, well, you know where my vote went and whatever. I'm not going to sit here and turn this into Hoosier, but I also have always been very fascinated at just your energy level in attending all that you have to attend. And I don't want to keep going back to the library, but to tie that, to bring that full circle, Stuart, you were saying about the cost of it, but the city council embraced it, but they also did it in a way that would financially kind of appease the community members. And you brought up a great point, because it turned out to be a win-win for city council and the library. Shelley Hawley, by the way, we have to give her a shout out.
Yeah.
She was incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, she traveled all over the world to put this thing together. And then, of course, with the support of the city council, it's going to be huge. And Stuart, I have to giggle a little bit, because you said, John, when he went to the groundbreaking the other day, I was at the groundbreaking as well. There was no shovel.
No.
It was a unique groundbreaking. Because we didn't need to break ground. We just went into the already, you know, existing factory warehouse, and
golden hammer.
There you go.
That's what they did. And the library, as librarians can be, very creative, had constructed this wall, and all the city council stood in front of the wall with their hard hats and their gold hammers, and all on the count of 3, countdown, they all banged, and the wall went. Yeah. John's got lots of show and tell here.
Now, you know, I do have to correct one thing that you said earlier, Vaughn. You talked about how open and approachable John is. However, I want the audience to know we were after his butt for probably the last 6 to 8 weeks to appear on this show. And every time we said, hey, can you be with us this week? Well, I got a meeting at 11 o'clock and I can't be. Maybe next week. It took us 8 weeks to get him on the show.
It got to a point
about approachable. Come on.
It got to a point where it was just like every time I would text and ask, and he had something going on because he is that busy. It finally got to a point where he said to me, oh, I'm going to be in Dallas or something. And I said, you suck. That's all I said.
Right. Yeah. I think you know what? We're tired of reaching out to you. You just reach out to us when you got nothing else going on. And we realize we're second-class citizens in your eyes.
Oh,
just give us a call.
You know, John, I was taking Vaughn Lane down to Houston. I'm actually in Houston right now visiting my folks, and I was taking Vaughn Lane. You know Vaughn Lane, right?
I think so.
The bus liner. It's a luxury bus liner.
Oh,
yeah. Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, whatever. So I had 4 hours to get a lot of correspondence done, and I was texting Stuart. And we were talking about topics and ideas for the show. And I said, I'll ask him. I'll ask him, whatever. I shot you a text. I almost fell out of my seat when you said, sure. So anyway, we're
to that point, we do get a lot of requests for different things. And certainly around election time, there's a lot of questionnaires to fill out, a lot of forums to do and things like that. And so I have to kind of set my schedule one way for a couple of weeks and then shift it.
Absolutely. Right.
And set it another way for a couple of weeks and then shift it again. Because like you guys you do your show on Wednesdays. Well, all my Wednesdays I had booked up because people needed me on a Monday or a Thursday or something like that. So the stuff that I have to do, I had made other appointments there. And so I apologize.
Oh, please. We're just giving you a hard time. We know you're a busy guy. Just give you a
Yeah. Does your wife have to book personal time with you?
She kind of does. We have to on a Sunday, we sit down and during the day we're making the commitment like, okay, at 4:00, we're all going to sit down and look at calendars. And then, it's 5:00 and we didn't, where are you? I'm still at the gym or I'm doing this or that. She's at the store or something. And we'll sit down and kind of get the phones out and nope, I'm booked here.
Yeah, I can't do that. No, not then. Yeah, I know.
And that's something else about John and Leslie Keating is, like, it is amazing how we did become such good friends and pretty instantly. Like, for example, we wanted to talk to each other during the closing of that first house that we bought almost 20 years ago. And it was the realtors who were kind of keeping us apart. And I was like, what is the problem? I really like these people. They're, well, it's not good for the seller and the buyer to be talking. And I'm like, why? They seem pretty cool. They didn't realize I was going to get their phone number and never stop calling them. Which I did. But they, I think that helps, to your credit, John, just that you are very, the other evening when I was talking to you about going to the groundbreaking, John opened up his phone, his calendar, and I broke out into hives because me, Stuart, I just like to play things by ear. I don't write anything in my calendar. I just like to play things by ear. But he opened up his phone. There was something every day. There was multiple things every day. And yes, I am going to the groundbreaking. I've got that here. I'm going to the groundbreaking. But John, I have to ask you, what right now, if somebody, and this is a very general question, why do you think Frisco has become what it is today? What is it about this little town of Frisco that when we all moved here with 75,000, what can you explain the growth of Frisco, Texas?
Well, yes and no. There's a couple ways to approach that. When I say Frisco has curb appeal, some people kind of cringe with that. And they're like, don't use that. Come up with something more creative. But it's kind of true. You have choices. People want to come to Texas. They go down to Austin and they're like, yeah, we don't want that. They go to Dallas and they're like, it's still not right. And so, there's kind of this progression where, you've been to Houston, you've been to San Antonio, you've been to Austin, you've been to Dallas, you've been to Fort Worth. You kind of look around and you realize you can check every box and make everything work in Frisco. And you come up, there's a curb appeal. You first drive into Frisco and you're like, what is this place? It is so clean and the roads are fantastic and they're well lit and the street signs are illuminated at night. And these are tiny little details. When you talk to someone who's been here for a number of years, they don't see that anymore. They've lived here for so long, they've sort of been accustomed to the environment that we have here and the incredible quality of life, the incredible neighborhoods, the incredible business opportunities, the fantastic school district, all the different stuff you can do. Sports City, USA, one of the safest cities in America, one of the best places to buy a house, one of the best places to raise a family, one of the best places to raise an athlete, all these incredible accolades. And that's great on paper, but if you came here and, if we had a lead smelter in the middle of town, you may not be that excited. Well, we did. We had Exide, a battery recycling plant. We thought this has to go. And so, we solved that problem, as I'm fond of saying, in the boardroom and not the courtroom. And we had a business deal and bought them out. And then when the cleanup wasn't progressing the way we wanted, we bought that contract and made TCQ a partner, which they had never done that before. So it took a little while to figure it out. They're actually very excited. So they hold the bond money for the cleanup, about $25 million in escrow for us, and we're developing a cleanup plan for them. So you have a council that isn't afraid to have a big vision, have long range thinking and planning. We've made mistakes. Certainly there's different things we can do. The batch plants down on 121 for concrete and roofing material and things like that. It's like, is there a solution to that? Can we help them relocate or do something different? That's a tough one. Putting car dealerships along 121, probably not a really great idea. That's prime real estate. That's some great commercial space, office space. You look across 121 at Plano has done, and it's a skyline, and it's it's not bad. I know there's a lot of different opinions about density and commercial development and things like that, but we've set out to be more than just a bedroom community, because if that's all you are, then the tax burden is going to land directly on those rooftops. And that's one of the number one concerns. Is the irony is that your number one investment has grown, and you're paying this tax on it every year. So to help out the hardworking Frisco taxpayer, we did a 10% homestead exemption. Part of my campaign is to raise that to 20%, and then you keep that competitive tax rate where it is, so that those corporations that received incentives to come here, and those sports franchises, those apartment buildings, they all pay their fair share, and then we pass that savings onto the homeowner, onto those families that made that investment here in Frisco. They chose Frisco. Stuart, like you said, years ago. Vaughn, 20 years ago. So congratulations to them. We have that. I like to describe that home ownership bell curve, where you're young and you're just starting out and you're in an apartment and you can't afford a house. But we have that product here. We have enough. We're trying to, tap the brakes or stomp on the brakes as far as apartments go. And then you buy that small home, which is what we did. We wanted a house that didn't have a pool because our kids were little and they didn't know how to swim, and we didn't think that was a good idea. And then later we did buy that bigger house that had the pool, and now the kids are grown and gone, and now we've downsized, and we have that smaller single-story house now. We're on our fourth house in Frisco in 20 years. So that progression is real. We've lived it. And eventually, maybe one day, we'll then be in that high-rise executive style apartment, like the 12 down at the Star. It's at 85% capacity. The people down there love it. It's a very expensive place to live month to month, but the amenities are incredible. Very service oriented, and these are folks who are empty nesters now. They've built wealth out in the world, corporate America. They've chosen to stay in Frisco. They love it. It has so many things that they enjoy and can offer. Plus, it's a great place to travel from, knowing that your house or your apartment or living space is secure and safe, and off you go. So we're well served as far as transportation needs. We do get traffic. It's funny, people move here, and when they're first here, they're like, "Oh my gosh, your traffic actually moves, and you can actually get places. And if when the morning rush hour is, and when the evening rush hour is, you can plan your trip. And during the day, there's no cars. You can get everything done you need to get done. And then on Saturday, it's craziness because everybody's out on the road because we have so many wonderful shopping opportunities. So people come from the surrounding cities. So I have to tell people, look, we've built our traffic infrastructure to handle the city of Frisco. But there's times during the week that we get what I call drive-through traffic. And then on the weekend, I get what we call drive-to traffic. And so we try to manage that. And I don't want to go off on a tangent about traffic and smart lights and stuff like that. But, it's that curb appeal. It's when you first get to Frisco and you look at the city and you go, gosh, it's all these restaurants I've never heard of and all this cool stuff. And look at all the great places to shop. And look how awesome the neighborhoods are and how clean everything is. And what a great school district. And everybody here is just so happy and positive and energized.
Yeah.
John.
Yeah.
I gotta get my shirt on there. Team Frisco.
Yeah. This also, I think, has to do with people. Because I think Frisco is made up of visionaries. You have people like George Purefoy. You have people like Mayor Masso and Mayor Cheney and Henry Hill. We've got people that are visionaries that have seen opportunities for the growth of this city. And I have lived in major cities my whole life. And the one thing that I was absolutely amazed, and again, 7-8 years ago when we moved to Frisco, was there was adequate thoroughfares going north and south and east and west, so that if one major artery was a little bit backed up due to an accident, there were other ways to go. Trust me, you can't do that in Chicago. You can't do that in Miami. You can't do that in major cities. But that was the vision of our city fathers going back a few decades, to say, let's make sure that we build our road structure and everything so that as we develop, people will be able to move. And then we've reached out to the corporate community. I mean, the Star and the headquarters for the Cowboys. The PGA is getting ready to open up probably one of the most magnificent facilities that this country will see. You mentioned the sports. What Frisco is becoming, and I am so thrilled about this, and a credit to you and the council, is Frisco is going to be a destination. People won't come here just for the weekend. People will actually come here and check in for a week or so and have arts to go to, have sports to go to, have dining to go to, and really engage in this community. And that leads to maybe moving to this community.
Well, Stuart, that's a good segue to what I was going to ask, John. Speaking of being a visionary years ago, and I think you bring up a good point, just how the city was prepared for the growth. Thought there was a lot of forward thinking going on there. John, my question for you then would be, where do you, as a visionary, as a city councilman, where do you see Frisco, let's say, in the next 5 years, and how do we as a city prepare for what I'm assuming is going to be continued growth? Yes.
Well, gosh, yeah. My brain starts working here with all the.
In a nutshell.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead, John. Take 30 seconds. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. Time's up. No, I don't need 30 seconds. I like 3 seconds. I just have to kind of compress and
right.
Yeah.
It's a big question. It's a big question for.
Yeah. And there's so much exciting stuff. So to Stuart's point, with traffic and things, I always to kind of close on that note. There's always two parts. It's how do you help people make fewer trips, and then how do you manage the traffic that you do have? So to that regard, looking at the city as a whole, how do we make sure there's a balance of commercial, retail, restaurant, things like that around the city, so that people on one side of town aren't having to travel to the other side of town? And one of the things we learned with parks was we try to make each park have something for everyone. And so what happened was, you get this age group for soccer at this park, and this age for soccer at this park, and this age for soccer at another park. So a family with multiple kids are like, well, I'm going to miss one kid's soccer game because I got to take him over here, and mom's going to take this kid to his soccer over there, and so we're not going to be able to. And then at some point, we're going to have to get back together. And so we're kind of like, should we have done something a little bit different with that? And there's a couple other cases where so it works. It's not perfect, but the good news is that we have, sports facilities for kids, and we've got, what we call unprogrammed space, which is just, natural grass parks, the traditional park type setting. So looking forward, now we have the Fields Estate, which is 2,500 acres that we can, master plan and figure out. And, that's all kind of tied into where the PGA America is. It's sort of south of 380, near the tollway, that area there. So that there's actually a number of neighborhoods that you can put in there. There's actually a number of different commercial opportunities as far as office space, hotel, entertainment, restaurant, retail, things like that. And so now once you have that all laid out, instead of, to Stuart's point, in a city like Chicago that's fully developed, you have an area where 70% of your city's built out. And so now here in this area, you can work with the school district, you can work with police and fire, you can figure out where these neighborhoods going to go, where do we need elementary, middle, and high schools, where do we need fire stations, where do we need parks and green space, where do we have unprogrammed green open space with trails, and then where do we have our sports fields and stuff like that. So for any city to have that opportunity to be able to master plan that much real estate. And people I have a hard time with it. What is 2,500 acres? What does that look like? Like, what could you do with that? You could put like 7 Starwoods up there and still have room for high schools and elementary schools and middle schools and fire stations and parks and trails and sporting activities and fun and cool stuff. It'll take, years to develop. It'll be in phases. It won't be overwhelming. Right now, of course, with COVID, we're facing a real challenge with building materials and people who still want to come in, and we have low inventory on houses. I think we touched on this earlier. So those property valuations have gone through the roof. So, adding 10% to the homestead exemption should be a slam dunk to help ease that burden. And then it's going to take, we're maybe 2 years away from starting to sell lots up there. They're still trying to just even identify builders that they would want to have come in there.
Yeah.
So we have that. We've got the home builder opportunity, the commercial real estate opportunity, the office, the retail, the restaurant, the fun stuff. So it's going to be a huge opportunity. I mean, in the next 5 years, the UNT Frisco campus is going to open up. PGA America is going to open up. Hall Office Park, that's going to be re-envisioned, reimagined. The park that they're building there, they're taking the folks that did the park down in Dallas and they're bringing them up here, and it's going to be even more amazing. It would just blow your socks off what they're going to do at Hall Office Park, right across from the Star. Performing Arts Center will go there. So the next 3, 4, 5 years in this town, I mean, hang on tight. It's right. It's going to be incredible.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
You ain't seen nothing yet. That should be your slogan, John. You ain't seen nothing yet.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
I'm going to get a T-shirt. I'm going to get a T-shirt. I'm going to have John Keating's name on and it's going to say John Keating somewhere on the back.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
I like that. Well, I'm excited.
But before we go, there's something that I put in my promo when I sent out for the show, and I said that John Keating was a pain in the neck. And Mark, if you've got that photo,
Mark
I want you to put that up there.
There
it is.
Because I want you to tell everybody what a pain in the neck you were, and what this X-ray represents.
Yeah, gosh, it represents a big surprise. I can tell you that. I like to work out. I do Pilates about maybe 3-4 times a week, and I've had a history of lower back pain. I've got some arthritis and some bulging discs, and that actually helped me avoid surgery. So I'm able to continue doing Pilates, which I highly recommend for everybody. It'll build your core, and you'll feel fantastic, and it'll solve a lot of problems. It's just an amazing workout routine. So then I've been able to kind of go back and do traditional gym workout as well. And as I was doing that, I was getting that shoulder pain, and I thought I was bench pressing wrong or doing something wrong or overhead presses or something. So I went to Baylor here at the Star, and they looked at my shoulder and they said, John, there's absolutely nothing wrong with your shoulder. And so I thought, well, that's weird. And they said, well, so here's our bigger concern. There may be something going on in your neck. And I literally had no other pain, no other problems, no nothing. So they went and took an X-ray on my neck, and they literally, I can't sit still. So I'm pacing around the office, I'm on my phone, and I'm texting Vaughn, and I'm trying to figure out my calendar and all this different stuff. And they come in and they literally said, okay, we need you to sit down. And I thought, nobody wants to hear that. When you're at the doctor's office and you're standing up and the doctor walks in and he's got that look on his face and he puts his hand on your shoulder and says,
"That's
awful. We need you to sit down." I thought I just about had a heart attack.
Right.
So, I mean, I just felt everything drain away, and I sat down and I thought, oh my God, it's going to be cancer or spinal meningitis or some horrible thing. And he said, hey, you've got 3 bulging discs in your neck. All 3 are pressing on your spinal cord. You've got bone spurs in there, and they're pressing on your spinal cord as well. Quite frankly, we don't know how you're walking around. We don't know how you're in pain. He kind of leaned into me and he goes, you need to tell me if you're on pain medication. Yeah. And I was like, I'm not. I don't know what's going on. And he said, you are one minor accident away from being paralyzed for life from the neck down. Like a fender bender in the parking lot, you fall down skiing, you fall off a jet ski, any number of things, and your neck is just, it's got no place to go. So that was pretty scary. But it was one of those weird things where you're kind of like, oh, well, that's not so bad. just get in there with a screwdriver or something and fix that and scrape all that out.
Yeah,
So that's
we'll schedule a 20-minute appointment and take care of it.
Yeah, we'll just go in and I'll play with my phone while you dig around. So I don't know if you can see, it's kind of gone now. There's a little scar right there. So they go in from the front. I was out cold, I assure you.
Let's hope so.
Yeah, it was not a pleasant thing. But so they go into the front, they clean out those 3 discs. They build a little cage. They use, cadaver material to go in there and kind of rebuild. And you saw in the X-ray, if you saw a front shot. Yeah, so there's a plate there with, it shows 4 screws. It's actually, I have another photo that I didn't send you guys, but if you look at it from the front, there's a row of 2 screws down each side. So it's a plate with 8 screws in it to kind of hold all that together. And if you know how to look at an X-ray, and I've become pretty good at it, but if you look in there, the bone material in the cage and stuff has grown back in. It's all fine. I just have my range of motion of my neck is slightly impaired. But other than that, I have no pain. Back in the gym, back doing Pilates, all these other things. My throat is still a little weird. I still have some numbness on this side, which they said is, normal. They have to cut through a lot of nerve and stuff to.
Actually, I think that's one of the best photos I've ever seen of you.
Yeah, you can see I have some. If you look at it, if you know how to look at an X-ray, and I've learned kind of a lot about my own, big giant bucket head, but you can see cavities and you can see other bone spurs, and you can see how the spine is formed in the skull, and you can see that my tiny little acorn brain up in there.
Yeah.
So you
said that part of what they did was they used cadaver.
Yeah.
So does that mean you're a dead man walking?
Yeah, there is some dead man walking in there.
Oh my gosh!
Well, I want you to know that you are probably the best pain in the neck that this city has ever had.
Yep.
Thank you, guys.
I actually could keep you on the show and ask you so many more questions about the city. I love this city. Clearly, I love this city.
Sure,
I've lived here 20 years, and I'm so excited about the future of the city and your involvement in it all, and or your leadership especially. And so we need to get you back on the show in I don't know, in a year. I don't know, when do you think we'll get it back on, Stuart? A year or so?
Vaughn, you better start going through his book, because I think his schedule book. We may have to look into June or July or August to get it back.
Right.
But we will do it.
Already booked.
and in the meantime, the best of luck to you in the campaign and on the city council. And just thank you for being the champion that you are for this city.
Oh, well, as I like to say, you are worth it.
Ah, very good.
Well, thank you.
Well, I'm going to get a shirt that says "I am worth it."
Right.
You are. You should.
Yeah. And you can switch off with the one that says "You ain't seen nothing yet."
I love it. I love it.
When one's in the laundry, you can wear them.
John Keating, thank
John,
you very much. Vaughn, always a pleasure again. That'll do it for another edition of Something to Talk About. Go out and make it a great week. And we'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.